Our speakers tonight are Leaf Waters of Palm Springs, California, United States, and Dave Eckert of Cathedral City, California, United States. Leaf is in Palm Springs, California until he takes his flags and flies to New Zealand, where he'll be joining his Kiwi husband through the COVID crisis. Let's get a little spotlight on him here. There we go. Oh, thank you. Having been around flaggers for over 20 years, Leaf picked up his first flags at Burning Man in 2004. He helped to produce Folsom Street Fair and Real Bad for many years. Then fast forward to 2018, when he helped to create and run Palm Springs' Flagging in the Desert. How are you tonight, Leaf?
I'm great. I'm great. And very sticky in Palm Springs, but doing great. Happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. At 73, Dave is one of our older flaggers, but neither that nor his multiple back and knee surgeries seem to have slowed his energy for the flagger community. In addition to co-producing Flagging in the Desert with Leaf and Mike Ritchie, he organizes and hosts events in the Palm Springs area, such as the Blacklight parties and tie-dye workshops. He keeps everyone informed with text messages, Facebook, and the Desert Flaggers website. He and his longtime partner live in Cathedral City. How are you tonight, Dave?
I'm doing just great. And again, just like Leaf said, it's a little warm here. After the presentation, I'm going to go outside and flag, but it's a little sticky.
Well, thank you for being here for us in an inclement situation. We appreciate it. Tonight we have asked Palm Springs. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Tonight we have asked Palm Springs area flaggers Leaf Waters and Dave Eckert to tell us about how they started flagging in the desert and now have been doing the shelter-in-place videos. Take it away, Dave. Take it away, Leaf.
Thank you very much, Daniel. We're very proud of the way in which the flagger community has maintained communications by way of such things as the Flagging Virtual Studio. And tonight, what we'd like to do is to tell you about the way in which Palm Springs flaggers have grown their community with a variety of local events that have now extended to the larger community. With the virus causing a shutdown, we've moved from flagging in the desert to flagging from the desert. So as we go through this presentation, if you think of a question, I'd like you to type it into the chat. We have time at the end to answer all of your questions. So let me bring up the first slide here. And Leaf, why don't you take it away?
Well, thank you, Dave. You know, we've had so much inspiration from San Francisco and flagging in the park over the last couple of decades that when moving back to Palm Springs in 2018, I thought, well, why can't we have some of that magic in the desert? So I approached the different flaggers in the community that were the pillars of what was going on there. And I said, do you mind if we give this a go? And then I approached Xavier and Jeff Kennedy and other members of the San Francisco team. And it all seemed like a great idea. So many people were migrating from San Francisco to Palm Springs. Why not create the same magic there? So I talked to Mike Ritchie and Dave joined on, and we sort of angled on Pride 2018 as being our initial event. The local support was amazing. We got two local DJs, Peter Barona and Luke Benetch, to DJ the first event. They collectively decided on the beneficiary. One of them was a local one, and then one of them we actually wanted to get back to the AIDS Memorial Grove because that was where it all started. So it was a 50-50 split, giving money back to them. And members from that organization came down and helped kick us off, which was great. Also, Luke donated his equipment for the event so that we could have a huge successful turnout. And it was an amazing day. And it was the first time the flaggers who were marching in the parade the next day got to come and flag together the day before. And it was just a way to build on the weekend and make it something magical. It definitely turned into something amazing down the road. Don't you think, Dave?
Yes. So the interesting thing that happened after that first flagging in the desert was that it really created a community. There had been a small active flagger community in Palm Springs that did pride parades and flagged at the tea dance, but there weren't other activities and there weren't any kinds of specific plans to grow the community. And this flagging in the desert brought us a new visibility that helped us build that community. So we started Sunday morning flagging in Ruth Hardy Park. And sometimes we went over to Francis Stevens Fountain. But that little thing kind of got us going. And then David Gossman began teaching classes on Thursday nights at World Gym. So that started to create a real buzz. And as the participation grew, we created a texting list, and we began to use an app that sends individual texts with information about our upcoming events. And David Gossman started tie-dye workshops, and we had more and more activities. We called ourselves the Desert Flaggers and created a Facebook page, a Facebook group, and we created a website. As we became known, we participated in more community and charity events, and we did flagger flash mobs. We were over at the Starbucks, and we went to a couple of the Pride things that were going on. We participated at the Gay Men's Choir, the AIDS Life Cycle Car Wash, Healthy Living, and we even were part of an event over at the Living Desert Zoo. And we posted our calendars and our photos and everything on our website. So that's kind of the building process that we went through, coming up to our March flagging in the desert, March of 2019.
Well, you know, the next flagging in the desert was another step in our evolution, and that was thanks to the beautiful Jerry Bonham. Everybody knows who Jerry Bonham is. He's a wonderful soul and an amazing DJ, and having been friends with him for a couple of decades, I was thrilled when he said yes to coming down and playing for us that spring. And he was really close friends with one of the major members of the AIDS Assistance Program here, which is a food program for people with HIV and AIDS and other physical illnesses. And so they were a beneficiary, and then they actually invited members of the Desert Flaggers to come and perform with Jerry during their major fundraiser, which is Evening Under the Stars, which happened in that May. But you know, honestly, it was just, again, another blessing from San Francisco. Tom Steele came down and loaned us some equipment and helped to make sure that the event was successful. So we were over and over blessed by the San Francisco family in getting this off the ground.
So what we started to do next was we said, okay, that was fine, but this borrowing equipment is a problem. And so what we did during the summer was we wanted to purchase equipment so we could be self-sufficient. So we did a bunch of fundraising. We did fundraising at the Tea Dance. We had Mike set us up with a GoFundMe, which was very successful. We did blacklight parties. And we had donations of equipment from Luke Bench and some very generous cash out donations. And that allowed us to purchase the equipment that we needed, the sound system, and set up a fund that would help us cover our ongoing expenses. So things like the park permits, the porta potties, the various expenses for the event. And that means that all of the event donations that happened during the actual flagging in the desert, they all go to our charity. And that was a really key. About November of 2019 now, right before our Pride in Palm Springs. And Mike Doretto was our DJ. So we were able to have all the equipment in place. We were able to fund all the expenses. Mike selected Sanctuary as his charity, which is a foster care type thing, allowing people coming out of foster care. It's all about dealing with the community. And this was, for our first time, we were an official event for the Pride Palm Springs. Leif?
And, you know, continuing the same theme with DJs that were selecting youth organizations. We were so proud to have Brian Norwood come to town for our February event. And he chose an organization called Safe Schools, Desert Cities. They're an organization that bridges, they help to support the gay straight alliances in all the schools throughout the Valley. And it was just another way that we could help this younger generation sort of rise up through our Valley and through the community. You know, February wasn't supposed to be on the map. We were going to do one in March, but then Scott Abel from San Francisco was going to do an event down here during that time, and he invited Brian to come and play. And he said, hey, can we do a flagging event during that time? So we moved things around and we made that happen. And it was such a wonderful day of house music. Anyone who came down, Xavier, Fiona, all those other beautiful people, Amy, everyone who came just couldn't stop flagging because the music was just so perfect. And it was also our first time having a sponsor. Chill Bar sponsored our event because Susan Morabito was in town that night. So we had this double punch of Brian and Susan banging out an amazing day. And we also had a flagging auction. So people brought down flags and donated them. and we auctioned them off to raise money for our fund. And it was just a joyous day. So proud of it. Now, April had been planned with a local DJ named Galaxy, but Galaxy unfortunately never got to play because this fucking virus happened. And, you know, I'm sure we're all on board with how horrible this whole experience has been. But what came out of it was a gentleman named Charles Drabkin from Sanctuary wrote to me and said,
I will, basically what happened was Charles came to us and said, is there something we can do that will help keep all the flaggers involved? And it was suggested that we try to do a video that would let us kind of all still be together in some way, even though we were distanced. And so what started with that was this idea then of, let's try to find a song and try to do a video. And so again, Jerry, remember we've got this relationship that we're forming with all of these DJs. Jerry came along and said, you know what, we've got this song called You're Beautiful by Madagascar, and he extended it because it wasn't long enough for us. And the words of it say, hey, we're all here together. So the flaggers were invited to submit videos, and then we joined them all together. Now, the way we did this was we created a YouTube of the song, and we sent a text to everybody. And in that text, we had a link, and we explained to people, go listen to the song, take a video, and text it back to us. And the response was we had 27 flaggers, mostly from Palm Springs. And I gathered all that together, kind of did the coordinating of getting the videos. And then Leaf started to do the edits.
So what basically happened, I'd had some minimal experience with iMovie. iMovie is an Apple product, and it's very intuitive, and it allows you to sort of drag together video and music and make things happen. And so basically, I got this track from Jerry, and we had 27 flaggers that contributed their videos and brought it all into the software. Now, there's not a lot of lyrics to it, so I had to add a few punchy words to sort of bring us together and remind us that we're a community. Although we're isolated, we're still together. And that was the whole point, to get people motivated and get people connected so that they didn't feel alone and isolated through this really dark time. And then you took it the rest of the way and put it on YouTube and made it awesome.
Yeah, we took the video, we made a YouTube out of it, we put it up on Facebook, we sent it around. We got lots of very positive feedback. And our plan was, well, gee, let's get more people involved as we go further. So the next thing that happened was for our April, and that was with Brian. Leaf, tell us how we got Brian involved in that one.
So Brian, you know, I reached out to Brian. I said, listen, beautiful man, we need a song for our second one. And so he sent us a few songs to choose from, and we landed on Okay by James Blunt, because the message was it's going to be okay. And that was what we needed people to know, that things are going to be okay. We're going to get through this, and we're going to do it together. And we had 33 flaggers involved, and it became something magical with everybody's artistry behind us. There were some problems with video because of compression and the texting. So Dave was made his magic happen and worked on a solution.
So we did this for May then. For May, we managed to get Paul Goodyear. He suggested this song, and he lengthened it out for us. It's a song by Peyton called Things Can Only Get Better. And it speaks to the need to look forward, and we know that that's going to be true. We used a new process to get people to upload their videos by way of Google Drive, and that really improved the quality. We asked all the flaggers to please do their videos in landscape, which helped Leaf in his editing. And we wound up with 40 flaggers from all over the country participating in this particular video. We went ahead and created our YouTube like we had been doing. We posted it to Facebook, and we put it up in various places. And we sent links to all the other groups that we knew. And we actually sent a link of that video to Peyton. And he posted a comment on our YouTube, and he said, "This is beautiful. My sincerest thanks to all of you for this honor, sending everyone lots of love." And we were really impressed over the fact that we managed to get our song performer to kind of respond to that. So that brings us into the next thing that happened, which was kind of June, which was supposed to be Pride. Leaf?
And, you know, Pride for flaggers is our time to shine. There are parties, there are stages, there are ways for us to be able to express ourselves like emerging butterflies on the scene. It's when our whole community comes together, and we had none of that coming to us. So I was talking with Susan Morabito, and I said, you know, do you have any songs that you could choose from for this month that is so important to our community while everybody's locked down that might be able to pull them out and get them energized and inspired. She coughed up a few, and one of them was this song by Janice Robinson and David Morales called Freedom. I had not heard of it before, but I noted that she had posted it a while back, and when I brought it to her, she's like, oh my God, that would be amazing. So she stretched this out for us, and she made it long enough so that tons of flaggers could participate. And it also was really poignant because of what was going on around Black Lives Matter and around the furor with equality in this country and how we just need to fix this shit. And so, so we put this song out there, and we got 40 flaggers to participate, and it was absolutely stunning.
And the thing about it is that people really got into it. We had people that said, you know, you said something about pride colors, and look at the colors that people came up with. We had people with all sorts of flags and all sorts of directions. It was really good. And then George, who we've seen at various times, said, hey, you know what? Can I do something that would be a little bit of choreography? And so he coordinated his group and created a really kind of a fun clip. That was kind of neat. And then the flaggers went to Ruth Hardy Park, and Leaf stood in the middle and took a kind of circular video of everybody. We were all using the same flags. If you haven't seen that video, you need to go back and take a look at it. You'll find it posted, and that was really, really good. We're really pleased with how well that one worked. So that then brings us to July. Leaf, tell us a little bit about July.
In July, we were still locked up. We were still asked to stay at home, to stay safe, to not go out for anything other than essential services. And I was listening to a podcast by a DJ named Rob Davis, and from Australia, and he had a song in there that really struck with me. And when we looked it up, it was called Home. So how serendipitous that this song that really connected with me musically was about the place that we all were locked in. And so we asked people to not only send us a video flagging to this song, but also to lend us some words around it. It had no lyrics, but we wanted to know what home meant to people. What did it mean to them spiritually and personally? And the words that were projected in the video were the ones that were provided by the flaggers in the video, so that we knew personally what this song and what they were going through meant to them. It was pretty moving. There were 20 flaggers that participated, but it was a really touching song on a lot of levels.
A key thing that we did with that one was we moved to an all email invitation and a highly simplified upload process. So people really were able to get their things to us. It didn't require logging in and doing all kinds of standing on your head. So it made the whole process an awful lot easier. And that brings us to where we are right now in August, where we've just started our next project, which is based on a track called America. And again, Brian Norwood has suggested it. He expanded it for us so that it was long enough. And it has an energizing beat. The lyrics are selected from speeches by Barack Obama. They're very pointed when you consider what we're going, especially right now with the conventions and everything. We've asked George to do some choreography, but we certainly want lots of participation. And our deadline is next Monday. So if you have received an email from us with all the instructions, please try to get your video in. It takes some time for Leaf to get this thing all together, and we really need to have that time. If you haven't received an email, but you would like to be included in these, send us your email address. I'll get that information out to you right away, and then maybe over the weekend you can kind of get this done. So that's where we are with our August. And that brings us to kind of, well, what's the plan next? Well, we're looking for September. We're looking at going forward. But Palm Springs Pride and the November Flagging in the Desert are still undecided. I'm not very hopeful at the moment. But we can really continue to create the videos and create this worldwide participation. So we would love you to contact us, get involved. This can actually be very contagious. We're finding, for example, that Chris up in Portland is putting together a flagging in the park. And Tim Schumacher up in Seattle is getting a group together. We're getting more and more groups and more community. And again, that's the whole point of this thing, is to do community. I put some various information up on the screen. If you want to know about flagging in the desert or the videos or anything like that, I'll leave those links up. And at the moment, what we're going to do is to answer some questions. So let me see if I can see anything on the
Dave, could I interject for a second?
Sure.
Just before these Q&As, I just want to say a couple of things because I kind of got robbed of a couple of minutes at the front there. And I really think it's important that I give some thanks to a couple of people that really helped us. You know, Xavier and Jeff Kennedy, and with the creation of the initial webpage for Flagging in the Desert and helping guide us through our trips and falls as we sort of got started on our posters and our logo and the energy at the beginning, it was just invaluable. The trust that they gave us to kind of carry forward the legacy of Flagging in the Park was really monumental. And I can't thank them enough. I can't thank Jeff Steele enough for coming down with his music, with the equipment for our second event. I can't thank Luke Benetch enough for giving us those sound equipment. You know, and Dave has been incredible in wrangling the DJ, the flaggers, and getting the technology in place. You know, and it's really been a labor of love for us, and the faith that everyone's putting up is us, and it's really been monstrous. So thank you very much, everybody, for being part of this.
And thank you, Leaf, for doing the editing. And that brings me to a question that came up on the chat that says, Leaf, what software do you use for the editing? I'm not sure that they heard that because it was breaking up. So can you tell us exactly what you're doing there?
Sure. So I use iMovie, which is an Apple product. The newest versions of iMovie are incredibly intuitive. They allow you to just drag in the music, drag in the video and the pictures, put in the transitions and the words, and it's pretty intuitive. But I also have tried to make it very basic. I haven't tried to use a lot of flashy editing and really try to do a lot of trickery because I want it to be simple. I want it to focus on the flagging. I want it to focus on the message, which is really why we're here.
I had a question that says, what about costs in doing this? And actually, there are virtually no costs. We're using the Flagging in the Desert Dropbox as a place to put all our files. And we're using a little piece of software that lets us do this kind of much better upload. But really the cost is in time. This is the labor of love that the two of us have done. And it's something that we really, really appreciate the response back from the community. So costs, no, the costs are basically time. And I see that Xavier has a question, right?
Yeah, well, it's a question and it's also a comment. We as Flagging in the Park, the group, are always weary of the idea of other people doing Flagging in the Park events, not because we don't want to share it, but we want to continue the tradition. If people are going to call it a Flagging in the Park, we want to continue we as a group have done everything. It's all volunteer. We get donations. And when Leaf had decided that he would like to put this on, we were all behind him 100%. And he wanted to call it Flagging in the Park. And that was something that kind of concerned us because we have a lot of crossover. It's one thing when a group in Tennessee or in Austin or in Portland does a Flagging in the Park, and quite a bit different when somebody just a few hours away does a Flagging in the Park. And I really want to commend you for figuring out what would be, for taking the name Flagging in the Desert and running with it. You've made the logo, it looks awesome. And it's so wonderful to have an event that we as Flagging in the Park producers can go to that is part and parcel our event, and we don't have to work because you all are doing the same thing and you're doing such a fabulous job. So thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And you know what? It gives us so much joy to see you and other Flagging in the Park members show up and to be able to give you that space to play and not stress about any of the details. It really makes us very proud. So thank you for your patience with us along the way.
Yeah, we appreciate all of the efforts. I have a question here from Mark Ludwig, who says sometimes videos get removed from YouTube because of music copyright. It turns out that if you are not monetizing, then you can put a little note on the YouTube if you've actually got a YouTube channel, and you can say this is not being monetized, and therefore it avoids the copyright, and we've not had any problem with the copyrights at all. So we're really pleased with that. Any other questions?
I know I would like to invite people going forward to help us with this project. We would never see ourselves as working in a bubble. We're always looking for contributions and ideas, and
So we come up with these songs in partnership with DJs that we want to partner with each month. But if anybody has a song that really touches them, that they feel is really poignant for what's going on right now, or they think has really the perfect energy for this space in our time and in our lives at this period, please put it forward. I can't guarantee it'll bubble to the surface for that month, but we'll put it on the rotation, and as soon as we can get around to it and make it a beautiful video, we're onto it. So everybody's input is really welcome.
Got another one for you, Leif. What's the most surprising thing you learned about when making the videos?
Probably the most surprising thing was that I never expected to cry every time I make the videos. I never expected that every time when it actually weaves together and people give us such beautiful flagging and it fits together so magically with the video that by the time I'm throwing the credits on the end of the video and watching the entire thing from start to finish, I invariably cry every single month when I look at what you people put forward. And it really is something that I never expected, and I never hope stop, really.
Good. And yeah, we do really encourage that. I have another one that says it takes 2 devices to do this, one for the music and one for the camera. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we had one person say that they were out of cell phone range and couldn't get a link to our YouTube in order to get the video, the actual music. In many cases, you can use the music and pull that video down if that's something that works for you. If you need to get the audio for some reason, we can send you a copy of the audio. But yeah, you need one to play the music, and we really like to hear enough of the music so Leif knows where in the song you are and kind of helps with the beat, but we'll do our best to make that happen. Any other questions? Some of you know that Leif is now going back to New Zealand. We have arranged for a group of mobsters to kidnap him and keep him from getting on the plane. But in the event that that doesn't work, I've kind of got a deal going where when he gets to New Zealand, he is still going to be required to participate in this and do all the editing. It doesn't make any difference where we're located. So we're going to continue to do this as much as we possibly can. And we really would like to have all of you support us by sending us in the videos. And Leif, you're not getting away.
I know. I just want to say thank you for letting us be here. And also I want to thank everybody for participating. And I hope that the videos and what we're doing in Palm Springs encourages more people locally to do what they can to bring people together. And who knows, I might be getting a bunch of Kiwis to throw around some flags too. So we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Leif. They put in a great deal of work on this presentation for all of you listeners and the community. And on behalf of the community, I really need to thank both of you for putting together these videos every month. It's made such a difference to all the flaggers and all the communities. So thank you very much.